Hey guys, this is FLUFF bringing you another guide slash commentary video. It might be a little long and my editing skills are not really there yet, so we'll just do one take and try to get through the mistakes. I usually do one take so I don't end up deleting the video because it's pretty hard to make a mistake and not tilt recording a video, and then I tend to delete it. Well, I've written down a hard copy of what I want to say, so at times it might feel like I'm reading from a script, but, well, that's because I am, but if I need to go on a tangent I will, and hopefully not too much. This video will most likely end up with me just talking over like paused video, so with a couple of examples here and there. Um, yeah, just keep in mind it's like 1:30 a.m. in the morning for me, and I'm also pretty nervous, so yeah, bear with me, guys. Thanks. Anyway, this time I want to talk about the role of support in pubs, specifically in the safe lane. But first I want to have a discussion about what I think needs to be clarified in the pub scene. Let me just get its hero picked real quick and then I'll pause. This video isn't really about the two support roles, but I feel like it needs to be touched upon since it's pretty key to this video. The roles 4 and 5 are very distinct. The guide for dummies would say that the 5 buys most of the wards, and the 4 uses the freedom of burden to scale into the game with items. Here's what's wrong with the state of pubs right now. There's often just one 5 position support. Well, there's often just one support, and many times he's treated like a 6 or 7. And the running joke about that is, a 6 or 7 pretty much has nothing like boots, bracers, a magic stick at 70 minutes, things like that. Which does happen a lot in these pubs, if you're playing a proper sport anyway. But a lot of players tend to think that just one support is fine, and then the 4 role becomes some type of awkward core that kind of roams and dual lanes and does nothing really, like a jungle Bloodseeker, or it could be even worse because Bloodseeker's kind of imba in this meta or in the game right now, but like an axe, these heroes, the problem with these heroes is that the 4's obligation to the 5 is to balance the burden of the early game especially, then start to take off in his own direction once the support can kind of stabilize for himself. I want to talk a little bit about the item kit, but I guess I'll get into that a bit later. So we're in a private lobby now, and I want to show you what an average 5 position support opening items look like. So pretty much I'll buy a courier, and then I'll buy like two obs, a tango, and I do need sentries, and this is if I'm absolutely being sacked. So you can imagine, like, oops, what do I call it, queen. I'm gonna give 2 tangos to queen, and let's just pretend these are Offlaner as well, just for the sake of the video. I'm gonna give him a sentry. So, like, look at my items, look at my gold. It's pitiful, right? I have 30 gold remaining. I have 2 tangos and 1 ob. I mean, it's pretty abysmal. But let me pause again here. Well, and what I mean about the sentries is that ideally you want sentries, but we'll get into that later as well in the video. You should be familiar with this kind of item purchasing if you've ever watched competitive Dota before. But here's the thing, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, keep in mind that I'm specifically speaking about pubs and not competitive games, so drawing any parallels is not really a thing. Pubs are uncoordinated, and pro players make conscious strategic team-wide decisions to build what they do. The 5 position player on those teams understands exactly what he's doing for the team, and the players around him play around that fact. Now, getting back on track here, well, let's use this example here. Now that I've given 1 ob to my offlaner, 2 tangos to the mid, and I'm left with 2 measly tangos, my other support is probably doing something like using his full gold to purchase whatever items he wants, maybe he jungles Bloodseeker, maybe he roams with Boots Bounty Hunter or something like that. Stout Undying, and our safe lane, we're sitting ducks. We're support with 2 tangos and we have a carry. And uh, God knows if your carry will pick up extra regen to handle the pressure of the lane, or if he'll start with some greedy build and he won't be able to handle any of the pressure at all. Um, if you expect me with these items here to zone like let's say a Spirit Breaker with 8 tangos, a salve, and a Stout Shield alone, well, it's impossible basically, because he's gonna out regen us, and not only that, but Rubick's not the best example, but there are many supports will not be able to output as much damage as he can regen. This is all fundamentally incorrect. Well, and side note here, on the topic of dual lanes, I always see players ditch the safe lane in order to play off the dual lane in the off lane, and it's pretty much at the expense of their carry's farm and stability in the lane. It's not worth it to dual lane in many cases if your carry cannot feel safe or free of pressure. The other support should be present in the safe lane till the lane is clear, and then make other decisions. It's a double-edged sword to go for those dual lanes, but I don't blame people for doing it because it's an easy way to snowball pubs. Just try to think of what you're sacrificing for it. It's all a balance. That being said, some lanes are near impossible to contest, and if you're not equipped to deal with it, try your best to do what you can to mitigate the damage of and the pressure that they can put off. But if nothing can be done, then roaming and moving off the lanes or dual laning can be a good idea to alleviate some of that pressure and apply some of your own. Okay, so you might be wondering about junglers. You've seen junglers in the pro scene like Chen, Enchantress, and Enigma. But if you pay attention to the pro scene, and I'll use the example of the most prominent jungler being Puppy. He'll almost always buy nearly all of the opening items like the courier, obs, and sentries, and even upgrade the flying courier for his 5-position support. And those heroes can be 5s, but typically they are 4s because they can generate a lot of gold in the forest and get a pretty good advantage with mechs, aghanim's, what have you. But this isn't about junglers. Junglers haven't really been too popular, and especially in pubs. Those type of junglers have never been popular. I just want people to understand how they can be a good teammate. Whichever player is playing the 4 role should help by buying either the sentries or 2 obs, and definitely pull 1 tango to the mid. Like, if both supports pull 1 tango to the mid, then the 5-position support can have 3, and having 3 tangos compared to 2 seems like a really small thing to the untrained eye, but it's actually quite a big deal because, would you feel safe as a carry with just 2 tangos on the lane? And compare that to having stacked regen, and for support, it's really quite big. But yeah, this is a perfect world situation where you have a support that's a secondary support that's going to be helping you and understanding what to do. And I don't expect that to happen right away. Oh, this game's actually unpausing, but this is okay because we're gonna restart a new lobby. And my game's kind of crashing a bit, so I might have to restart. But I have a proposed solution, and I want to show you. But I'm most likely gonna need to restart my Dota here. So let me do that. And it's been crashing every time I've been starting a new game or replay. So bear with me, guys. But pretty much, what I'm going to talk about next is how, as a solo support, which happens quite a bit in the pubs, you can kind of get other people to pick up the slack. Oh my goodness. The network went down, are you serious? Okay, well, I think we're going to have to take an intermission then and then go back into it.